This presentation is brought to you by Dart Corporation. Today we'll be discussing how to defer invoicing and/or revenue recognition based on customer acceptance through order management and accounts receivable. I'm Michelle Taylor, and I'm a consultant with Dart Corporation. For those of you that aren't familiar, Dart is a consulting firm out of the Chicagoland area. We have 4 lines of business. The first line of business is the consulting services arm. We do program management, functional, technical, and architecture consulting. Additionally, we have a managed services line of business, which provides production support on a 24/7 clock for functional and database needs. The third line of business is the Dart Academy group. It provides organizational change management assistance, as well as communication, documentation, material prep, and training delivery. Our last line of business is ISIX. It's a proprietary software tool that we've developed that assists in accelerating interfacing and converting data into the applications. It also delivers assistance with mergers and acquisitions and global consolidation. I've been exposed to the Oracle applications for over 14 years now. I started as a user implementing Oracle 10.5 character and assisted on upgrade teams, and then went into consulting when the company relocated its offices. Since that time, I've actually become a certified expert consultant for Release 12 in supply chain order management, as well as 11i. I'm also an implementation specialist for Release 12 supply chain order management and inventory. Today, just in terms of how we'll be moving through the information, our agenda is as follows. I'll start out by introducing the requirement description, including the benefits of deploying this and the definitions for the terms. We'll next go through the R12 setups required to get the functionality in place. Then we'll continue with process flows review, a revenue recognition overview, and then we'll conclude with a summary of things not to forget and/or keep in mind. Now we're going to start out with the requirement description, the benefits of deploying, and definitions. Now we're going to go over the requirement description in a little deeper detail. It depends on which side of the fence you come from to understand the requirement. On the business side, they have the requirement for customer acceptance because they need to defer revenue recognition, and they need to do this to comply with the corporate government regulations pertaining to the prevention of early revenue recognition and/or overstating their revenue. However, on the customer side of the fence, they have the requirement for customer acceptance because they need to defer invoicing to allow themselves to create a more controlled way to manage their open receivables related to their expected shipments and/or delivery of services. For example, customers require deferred invoicing because it helps them monitor the process and maintain the time lags between their ship dates, their transit time durations, and the invoice due dates. The benefits of deploying customer acceptance are very straightforward, at least to me. There's reductions and/or gains, and then overall improvements. On the customer side, they're able to reduce the administrative costs associated with maintaining and managing their AP accounts. On the vendor side, they're also able to reduce administrative costs associated with maintaining and managing their AR accounts, as well as revenue accounting and recognition, which will hopefully reduce, if not eliminate, their audit risks. On both sides of the fence, it increases overall customer service huge, creates goodwill between both parties, increases referenceability on both sides, and just allows for a continued relationship moving forward for each party working together to maintain a business relationship. Now we're going to go over the definitions for the terms that are used in the customer acceptance process. The first are deferral reason types, which are also called revenue contingencies in AR, and in order management, they're called acceptance names. The first deferral reason type is pre-billing acceptance, and as it's named, pre-billing, pre-invoicing, this acceptance deferral is always tied to invoicing removal event. It defers invoicing and revenue recognition. The acceptance process can be completed via implicit or explicit methods, and we'll go over those definitions as soon as we finish discussing the deferral reason types. After ship confirm, the sales order line workflow updates are as follows. The process, the workflow diagram, is held at invoice interface pending customer acceptance, whereas the status on the sales order line is updated to pending pre-billing acceptance. again, because both invoicing and revenue recognition are deferred, they cannot be processed through the system until the acceptance is completed. On the flip side, there's the second deferral reason type is post-billing acceptance. This one is, again, just as it's named, after billing, after invoicing. It's always tied to a customer acceptance removal event, and because it's after invoicing, this only defers revenue recognition. The acceptance can be completed, just as in pre-billing, via implicitly or explicit methods, and after ship confirm, the sales order line in this process updates as follows. The process for post-billing, is held at close line, pending customer acceptance, because we're after invoicing. The sales order line workflow status is updated to pending post-billing acceptance. Again, an invoice is generated, but the revenue is deferred and held in the unearned revenue account until the acceptance is completed. Now we're going to switch and do the definitions of the acceptance methods. We have the deferral reason types, and now we have acceptance methods. And the combination of them together are your customer acceptance processes. So you can do pre-billing, implicit or explicit, and post-billing, implicit or explicit. The acceptance methods are as follows. The explicit acceptance can be completed in two manners, either manually via the Order Information Portal, which I'll refer to as OIP going forward, or programmatically via the Order Import process or the Process Orders API program. Implicit acceptance can only be performed programmatically, and this program updates based on the implied understanding that an expiration date has passed, so it's implied or understood that this transaction needs to be accepted and updates the record.